sense of sample or specimen, from Latin exemplum. Example derives the seemingly contradictory meanings on the one hand of a pattern or model, and on the other hand of a warning. A sample or specimen of what is to be followed or of what is to be shunned. An example, however, may be more than a sample or a specimen of any class. It may be the very archetype or prototype to which the whole class must conform, as when Christ is spoken of as being an example or leaving an example for his disciples. Example comes nearer to the possible freedom of the model than to the necessary exactness of the pattern. Often we can not in a given case exactly imitate the best example, but only adapt its teachings to altered circumstances. In its application to a person or thing, exemplar can scarcely be distinguished from example, but example is most frequently used for an act or course of action for which exemplar is not used; as, one sets a good or a bad example. An exemplification is an illustrative working out in action of a principle or law, without any reference to its being copied or repeated. An example guides an exemplification, illustrates or explains. Ensample is the same as example, but is practically obsolete outside of scriptural or theological language. Compare model, sample. Excess. Synonyms: dissipation, exorbitance, extravagance, intemperance, lavishness, overplus, prodigality, profusion, redundance, redundancy, superabundance, superfluity, surplus, waste, wastefulness. Excess is more than enough of anything, and since this in very many cases indicates a lack either of judgment or of self-control, the word is used frequently in an unfavorable sense. Careless expenditure in excess of income is extravagance. We may also have extravagance of language, professions, etc. As extravagance is excess in outlay, exorbitance is excess in demands, and especially in pecuniary demands upon others. Overplus and superabundance denote in the main a satisfactory, and superfluity an undesirable excess. Lavishness and profusion, a generous, bountiful, or amiable excess, as a profusion of fair hair, lavishness of hospitality. Surplus is neutral, having none of the unfavorable meaning that often attaches to excess. A surplus is that which remains over after all demands are met. Redundance or redundancy refers chiefly to literary style, denoting an excess of words or matter. Excess in the moral sense is expressed by dissipation, prodigality, intemperance, etc. Antonyms: dearth, defect, deficiency, destitution, economy, failure, frugality, inadequacy, insufficiency, lack, need, poverty, scantiness, shortcoming, want. Execute. Synonyms: administer, carry out, do, enforce, perform. To execute is to follow through to the end, put into absolute and final effect in action. To administer is to conduct as one holding a trust, as a minister and not an originator. The sheriff executes a writ; the trustee administers an estate, a charity, etc. To enforce is to put into effect by force, actual or potential. To administer the laws is the province of a court of justice; to execute the laws is the province of a sheriff, marshal, constable or other executive officer. To administer the law is to declare or apply it. To execute the law is to put it in force. For this enforce is the more general word, execute the more specific. From signifying to superintend officially some application or infliction, administer passes by a natural transition to signify inflict, mete out, dispense, and blows, medicine, etc., are said to be administered, a usage thoroughly established and reputable in spite of pedantic objections. Enforce signifies also to present and urge home by intellectual and moral force, as to enforce a precept or a duty. Compare do, kill, make. Exercise. Synonyms: act, action, activity, application, drill, employment, exertion, occupation, operation, performance, practice, use. Exercise in the ordinary sense is the easy, natural action of any power. Exertion is the putting of any power to strain and tax. An exercise drive for a horse is so much as will develop strength and health, and not appreciably weary. But by qualifying adjectives we may bring exercise up to the full sense of exertion; as, violent exercise. Exercise is action taken at any time with a view to employing, maintaining, or increasing power, or merely for enjoyment. Practice is systematic exercise, with a view to the acquirement of facility and skill in some pursuit. A person takes a walk for exercise, or takes time for practice on the piano. Practice is also used of putting into action and effect what one has learned or holds as a theory; as, the practice of law or medicine. A profession of religion is good, but the practice of it is better. Drill is systematic, rigorous, and commonly enforced practice under a teacher or commander. Compare HABIT. Antonyms: idleness, inaction, inactivity, relaxation, rest. Expense. Synonyms: cost, expenditure, outgo, outlay. The cost of a thing is whatever one surrenders or gives up for it, intentionally or unintentionally or even unconsciously. Expense is what is laid out by calculation or intention. We say, he won his fame at the cost of his life. I know it to my cost. We speak of a joke at another's expense; at another's cost would seem to make it a more serious matter. There is a tendency to use cost of what we pay for a possession, expense of what we pay for a service. We speak of the cost of goods, the expense of making up. Outlay is used of some definite expenditure, as for the purchase of supplies; outgo, of a steady drain or of incidental expenses. See PRICE. Antonyms: gain, income, proceeds, product, profit, profits, receipt, receipts, return, returns. Explicit. Synonym: express. Both explicit and express are opposed to what is merely implicit or implied. That which is explicit is unfolded, so that it may not be obscure, doubtful, or ambiguous; that which is express is uttered or stated so decidedly that it may not be forgotten nor overlooked. An explicit statement is too clear to be misunderstood; an express command is too emphatic to be disregarded. Compare CLEAR.